Hello everyone, this is Momo's Happy Place here, and I came on today to talk about a few things dealing with my spiritual journey. So we're going to talk about boundaries and using discernment and what that means, as well as energy protection. So I looked up a few definitions. So a boundary, what is a boundary? In the energetic sense, a boundary is an imaginary line that separates me from you, one's physical space, feelings, needs, and responsibilities from others. So without proper boundaries, it's easy for someone to be taken advantage of. It's easy for people to be coerced or be persuaded into getting into things without knowing all the details of what's really going on. Being a people pleaser is someone with weak boundaries. That was me in my old reality. And so when your boundaries are not set or reinforced, the lines get blurred and the identity of self is challenged. So that's a lot. Basically, I've dealt with my whole majority of my life of feeling that it was good to be a people pleaser, and that's exactly what you're supposed to do when you're a young girl growing up in the 90s. Is basically you're supposed to accommodate other people's needs and put other people's needs before my own. So I had some challenges there, thinking that I was doing something right, and really and truly I wasn't necessarily doing it exactly right for me. People pleasing falls under the codependency category, and codependency is also known as relationship addiction. I didn't know that when I was looking up what codependency was and what it's all about. Basically, people have addictions to being in a relationship, or have a big fear of being alone, which it's true for a lot of people, being brought up into society and feeling the need to be in a relationship in order to be happy. When people pleasing in the old reality was a good thing, this meant that people's needs takes priority over your own, and when they are content, you too will be content. Also to avoid conflict and disappointment. So the saying that you hear when people say, I love you more than I love myself, or if you're not happy, then I'm not happy. Heard that plenty of times. Then that automatically puts the other person's needs and priorities before your own, and then you oftentimes neglect your own needs. And also lower your boundaries and your standards if you're trying to put in a lot more effort into making sure that your partner or another person is happy and satisfied and pleased over your own emotions and needs. And also, me personally, I'm not really big on confrontation. It's not really my strong suit. So I used to avoid it like the plague at all costs. So whenever someone needed something to be resolved or to fix, or, something to that extent, then I would try and bend and twist my personality or, my energy in order to be able to accommodate that. And then keeping myself hidden away, just to be able to make sure that that person's okay, because maybe I feel that I have some sort of empathetic qualities where I would be able to have these strong feelings about how I could make someone feel upset or disappointed, and I really don't like that feeling. I always want it to be in everybody's good favor. Maybe that's the Libra energy seeping through. But yeah, I came in this world as a Libra, so I oftentimes feel the need to hear out both sides and make sure that everybody is content, and then I later will come in and just figure out how to put all the pieces back together for myself and try and pour into myself. But I now learned that it doesn't work that way necessarily. Boundaries also allows you to be your true self. So that sounds really, really beautiful. However, if you don't know yourself or know your true self, then it would be a little challenging, I would say. If you don't really know what your do's and don'ts, or your yeses and your no's, or things that you won't tolerate are, then it might be a little bit of a struggle, Boundaries mean saying no to things that don't align with your priorities. So oftentimes, I think if I look back on my life, I would have been like one of those yes girls, whatever you need, yes, I got it. I worked for a country club many years ago, love that place. And one of their mottos is, the answer is yes, what's your question? And then that results of, whatever you need, we can fix it, we can help you. The answer is yes. And how that may work in hospitality, especially in a country club, it doesn't necessarily work for the human standpoint, and yes isn't always the way to go. So I oftentimes took pride in being able to just be accommodating, but really it's me being submissive or subservient to other people's needs over mine, and yeah, that just definitely doesn't really work for the long run. So setting up boundaries kind of reminds me of the Seven of Wands card in Tarot, which is a person standing at higher ground on defense mode with 7 wands in front of them, basically guarding and protecting their spot that they work so hard to get to. So in that sense, I'm all for 7 of Wands and standing up for yourself, and because everyone deserves to be here. So everyone deserves to be heard. And oftentimes in certain relationships or things that's not really in alignment with you, and it could be a little toxic, it's sometimes hard for you to be able to find your voice and to speak it. So it's very hard to defend yourself when you always just have no boundaries that you can use to defend yourself, you know? Okay, so that's boundaries. And then discernment. Discernment, I learned that word, picked that word up along the way. The act or process of exhibiting keen insight and good judgment. So that kind of reminds me of like the hanged one in the tarot card, which is a person standing upside down, Jesus Christ style, crucifixion style, but basically means that you are looking at a situation from a different perspective to be able to get an answer. And I feel like with that, the only way you can do that and execute it honestly is if you know who you are as an individual and that you trust your spirit, you trust what your spirit is trying to show you and teach you, and understand that if you know who you are, then you're able to exercise discernment on other things and that's outside of you in order for you to be able to better assess if something is for you or not for you. But if you don't have strong boundaries, if you don't understand the type of person that you are when you're put in certain predicaments, certain situations, or around certain people, then it's easy for you to, pretty much get your emotions entangled in things that you're like, what's happening? So yes, again, with discernment, I've struggled with discernment. Lack of self-awareness, to be honest. Unsure of who I was due to some life lessons that I missed out on, and I never asked enough questions. And now I learned that you have to ask questions. I was told in school, I feel like in school, like junior high school, elementary school, we weren't really applauded for asking a lot of questions or out-of-the-box questions. It was kind of stick to the curriculum, stick to the schedule, to the schooling, and just let it be. So with that, I kind of was very quiet and would have a lot of questions or would feel the need to ask questions, but I would also feel a little bit intimidated too, because I would feel like that would kind of come off as confrontational, which is what I would always try to avoid at all costs, basically because of my childhood days in school. It's like no one ever really wants to be involved in a lot of conflict. And so yeah, basically asking a lot of questions is the best way to also vet what's going on, to vet people, to really understand what's happening. Like you can get like a different vantage point when you have more insight, when you have more knowledge. So then you're able to now be able to take that information and to assess what it is that you need the answers to, or whatever the case may be, when you're using your discernment to see if something is for you or not for you. And also dealing with your understanding what your body's reaction to things look like and feel like for you. Sorry, it's a little hot. So learning to trust your own intuition definitely helps with using discernment, and oftentimes so you can properly discern if something is right for you. Well, actually, if it's right for your spirit and not just to appease the ego, because we always want to make that separation and know like which one are we trying to have as the main person in the play or in this situation. Is it the ego or is it our spirit? So yeah, those are a few things that I learned on boundaries and discernment. And over time, I learned that meditation helps. Meditation helps for you to be able to clear your mind and get some answers and clarity, or at least allow for the answers to come to you because you're in a little bit more of a relaxed state. And you've also did your due diligence by doing your research on things so that you aren't taken advantage of, especially out here in the different spiritual communities. And spirituality is becoming more mainstream and almost trending. It is very important to use discernment when learning about spirituality, and it's all about just going to what moves you, what moves your spirit, what keeps you curious, what keeps you intrigued, and to go into that, and then reference check it by going on YouTube or reading books and just doing your own research so that you can at least be better prepared to answer the such situation or the question at hand with truth, with actual truth, and not just someone else's truth. Okay, so and then last is energy protection. And energy protection, I'll talk a little bit about it because I don't know a whole lot of different ways that you can protect your energy. I know a few ways. I really enjoy working with crystals for protection. Crystals are amazing. I have a nice crystal collection that I call my little crystal bays. So oftentimes you can wear crystal bracelets, and cleanse them and charge them. You can wear them for protection. And also, I learned how to create an energy protection shield around myself and my loved ones. So this is how I usually do it, or this is how I was taught. And every day when I get ready to leave the house, or as soon as I remember, because life happens, I try to envision a golden shiny ball or shiny bubble of protection that encases the top of my head, from the top of my head, the crown chakra, down to the bottom of my feet. And I envision it going all the way around a 360 globe sphere kind of view, and I take time to envision and breathe into it. And you don't have to necessarily do it standing still, also because sometimes I remember last minute and I'm on the go. So I kind of just try to be in the moment, in the present, so even if I'm walking, it still can happen. Even if you're kind of like doing something active, it can still work. So I envision a golden bubble, shiny so bright that engulfs me, my whole being, as well as my loved ones. And I ask for it to be a shield of protection that only beings of light can come in and assist me. And then that's it, and then I take a second, and then say it's done. And then I also sometimes, I would also just ask my ancestors to come in and protect me from anything that's harmful or any weapons that are formed against me, to basically be there to protect me from things that I don't see, from the seen and unseen. And usually those keep me pretty protected on a spiritual level. I did have a moment when I started on my spiritual journey where I was in the car and driving, and I just started getting these weird thoughts, like intrusive thoughts about, or just kind of negative thoughts, like, oh, I won't amount to anything, and that, I'm useless, and that I'm pathetic, things like that. And then it was just becoming so overwhelming and weirdly loud that I basically just called. It was so much that I was like, I gotta call on my ancestors. And so I just said, ancestors, just come and please remove all of this negative energy and keep me safe and protected. And the next thing you know, it was just like I could breathe again, So that was pretty amazing. And I was surprised. I was like, oh, it worked. I was like, oh, I'm about to be crazy. This is it. Sign me up for the psychiatric program. So also, and then at night, what I would do is, because when we go outside into the world and we try to just live our regular lives and we help people and we give our energy away for the betterment of humanity, or if other beings try to siphon off our energy, we're around some energy vampires and things like that. At the end of the day, before I go to bed, I would call all of myself back to me, and that's what I would say. I call all of myself back to me, give permission to my spirit to release anything and all things that's not for my greatest and highest good. And then that's it. That's basically the end of my energy protection process. I usually try to create a habit as well. So it's still taking a little bit more practice for me to just have it where it's automatic. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes, where it just becomes a habit and a war ritual that you don't even have to think about. It's just automatic, because it is a spiritual war going on outside. And we don't necessarily know all the entities or the people that be out here coming for us. So basically, it's a return to sender kind of energy. If you're feeling kind of off and not yourself, it could be that someone's sending some negative or lower vibrational energies your way. And all you just do is just say return to sender. And I call all of myself back to me, so that at the end of the night, you can have all of your energy back to you, and you can basically recharge when it's time for bed and things of that nature. And try to get into that. Try into becoming a person that is ritualistic in the spiritual community, in the spiritual world, because it will help you, it will benefit you, instead of just calling on for protection when something bad happens. Because that's not necessarily utilizing your faith, is it? If you just say, oh, when I have a problem, I'm just going to call on my ancestors, or I'm just going to just wish it away. If you have that change your mindset of saying that you always deserve to be protected, and that you always want to be protected, then no matter what, you're automatically going to set that mindset to just be protected. And so that you don't even have to second guess if something is coming for you, because you already know that your ancestors, which are you and you are them, is there to always guide you and support you and protect you, but you just have to ask. So that's the concept of free will. So that is all that I have for you all today, and thank you, and enjoy this Lionsgate portal. I know I will enjoy all of this lovely Leo energy. I'm even wearing my little bracelet that has like the infinity sign on it, and it's definitely giving Lionsgate 88 portal vibes. So enjoy your day, enjoy your evening, and be safe and be well, and we'll talk soon, okay? Bye. Hello everyone, it's Momo's Happy Place here, and also wanted to say another thing about boundaries and using discernment is that as empaths, we often feel the need to give. We were raised in the sense of being able to keep giving in order to make situations feel better or seem better, and that also falls into the people-pleasing category. And I noticed that a lot about myself, that which I put a halt to once I realized that it was not working. Stop giving to things that don't extend reciprocity. If you keep giving because you want to appease someone else or make someone else happy, or to make yourself happy because you felt that you gave and that you self-sacrificed yourself in order for the situation to work, don't do it. It doesn't work. It's too materialistic of a tool or response to something that's actually just more emotional. And so creating boundaries and not giving without reciprocity is very, very important. So if you notice that you keep giving and you're in a situation where you're not receiving equal amounts that you were putting out, then that means one of two things. Either you're going overboard just completely in the giving mode, or the other person that you are giving to is just simply a taker, or someone that just needs all of that energy, maybe like an energy vampire, but it's someone that's more so like a taker. And then you have to understand that that's also their way of dealing with or coping within the relationship. I think that'd be a nice way to put it. So just be mindful of the people that you give to, and just really test the boundaries on that. If you stop giving, see what would happen. Because it becomes very draining when you choose to just spend your money versus to have a conversation about how you're really feeling, because you're too fearful about what it is that you have to fix or needs to be looked at and evaluated. So that's also something to be taken into consideration. Is when you give, that's often when you give more than you receive. That means you're people pleasing. We don't need any more people pleasers in this world. We need more people that really have enough love for themselves and give to themselves. And when they give to themselves, they will have enough to then give to others. But if they're giving to others before themselves, then it's really not enough juice to keep a situation going and thriving for the healthier, for the better. So yeah, that's all I had. Oh, that's another thing I had to add. So thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share that with you. Bye.